Welcome, brothers and sisters, to a Lenten journey with the saints, day 28. St. Augustine will lead us through today's reflection. He says, "Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die." I think all of us experienced being hurt by someone and then having a wound in us that affects our thinking, the way we look at that person, the way we deal with that individual. St. Augustine says it is a poison. That's the term he uses. It gets into our system. Once we get hurt, we didn't even know how to go about it, what to make out of a hurt. And sure enough, we look at the person who hurt us and we have ill feelings. We feel uncomfortable. Maybe till that point, he or she could have been our friend or a person towards whom we were properly disposed and we were friendly. After an incident, something happened, as if someone had injected a poison into our system. When we harbor a resentment, it looks like we are punishing the other person. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. We are the first recipient of this poison. We are not hurting the other one. We are hurting ourselves. As a matter of fact, you might remember when you were worked up by ill feelings towards a person, and that really conditions the way you look at the people next to you, because you're upset, so another person can pass by and then it spills over on the other one. It affects us. We don't know how to handle a hurt, a wound that is bleeding. And then an ordinary reaction, fleshly reaction, would be more this resentment is harbored by us, and the interior dislike that we would keep living with, more liberated I get. Nothing can be further from the truth. We are hurting ourselves. That's why this phrase of St. Augustine is so truthful and at the same time striking, showing us that drinking this poison, you can't wait for the other person to die. You are dying when you harbor the resentment. Sometimes for years, we're thinking that I'm going to get even. I'm punishing the person whom I have probably already not seen for years, or sometimes even a person who died years ago, and I'm still holding on to that grudge within me. We are the first recipients of this poison that is working evil in us. Brothers and sisters, we need to look how we go about our wounds, those resentments, how much poison there is within us. Sometimes we might not even realize, but we are deeply affected. Let's say you come back from work, as it frequently happens, and you could have been scolded or rebuked by your supervisor, or something could have happened. There is a poison, and all throughout the distance from your job to your home, you're spinning on those thoughts and more, and you are really charged with negativity, with dislike, sometimes even hatred. You walk into the door, and then what happens? You might be scolding your kids, or rebuking your spouse, or getting very defensive or aggressive or unfriendly. Many different reactions could have happened, even talking to someone over the phone and being not yourself, let's say, because of this resentment that is within you. As we find out from St. Augustine that the other person is not gonna die when we harbor this resentment, today we have a task to look at the resentments we harbor in our hearts against the people around us. It is necessary to sit down in prayer and then go over the list. And I wanted to suggest a few points for a reflection. Number one, it is the Lord who has forgiven us first, who already took the poison out of this situation so that we could forgive the person we are harboring the resentment against. Let's remember that we are damaging ourselves, we are hurting ourselves. We are the recipients of this poison. So when you forgive, you're doing a greatest favor to yourself. Not so much to the other person, which is a next step, but first and foremost, you're doing a huge favor to yourself. By harboring a resentment, you're closing yourself off to God's love by not loving your neighbor. Again, I'm not trying to minimize the fact that you could have been hurt, that it's really painful what someone did to you. But again, you will not be able to receive the graces God has prepared for you. Truly, those resentments close off the fountain of gifts God prepared for you and for me. It is about freeing ourselves from those invisible chains. During this time of meditation, ask Jesus Christ to free you from those chains. Come, Lord, help me to be delivered. Sever those invisible chains of hatred, resentment, or however you would like to name this concrete resentment you might have towards that person, because I would like to be free. I don't want to walk around hating that person and wishing him or her even to be dead, as St. Augustine says. Maybe we are too polite, thinking someone should die. But if you look carefully, we are not so happy with that person to thrive, to be successful, because he or she is our enemy. Lord, help me, grant me the strength, come from above, send your Spirit to help me to be freed from these chains of resentment, from the grudges that could be still besieging me, making my life miserable. And if possible, you may meet with that person and reconcile, which is yet another step. But first and foremost, today's task is to get rid of the poison from our heart. Praying and desiring good for the other person, asking Lord to heal our wounded hearts that He would like to restore to grace. God bless you, brothers and sisters, as we continue our Lenten journey with the saints.